Now that we know a little bit about how cryptocurrency works, let's talk about crypto scams as well as new legislation and protections for consumers. When it comes to cryptocurrency scams, they can be very difficult to spot and they are increasingly convincing. Sometimes these scams involve a romance angle or something that's called a pig butchering scam, which is a scam that builds trust over a longer period of time. Sometimes these scams will involve a scammer making a completely fake cryptocurrency and convincing you to invest in it. And sometimes these scammers will pretend to be real investment professionals or even authority figures telling you that you need to put your money into crypto to be safe. So let's look at a couple of real-life cryptocurrency scams that we've received here on the ElderWatch helpline. First, let's talk about pig butchering scams that involve crypto. If you're unfamiliar with the term pig butchering, it is often, but not always, a component of romance scams. This type of scam is a long con, quote unquote, sometimes taking place over years. The scammer will develop a relationship with their intended victim, sometimes romantic, but sometimes just companionship, and they'll build that relationship over a long time horizon, ensuring that there is trust before they make an ask. Then, after they've gotten what they want, they will end the relationship or cease communication out of the blue. So a cryptocurrency scam that we got that was also a romance scam taking place over a longer time period involved a gentleman who thought he had a fiance. He met a woman online, and after talking for months, the woman said that she wanted to marry the caller, and the caller also wanted to marry this woman. The woman told the caller that her uncle was a cryptocurrency investment broker and said he could help the caller make money. Additionally, the woman said that her uncle would cover losses up to 90%. Our caller invested $600,000. But shortly afterwards, he was told that he needed to increase the investment by 5 p.m. that day due to market fluctuations. Shortly after he increased his investment, he realized it was a scam. She had blocked him on all platforms and he could no longer access the cryptocurrency website. So here we see the hallmarks of what is called a pig butchering scam. This scammer put in months building a relationship with our caller before asking for anything. And once the more than $600,000 was deposited, the caller never heard from the scammer again. As we discussed in the previous video on whether cryptocurrency is a currency or an investment, cryptocurrency can fluctuate dramatically. So perhaps that's why this caller didn't bat an eye when he was told to increase his investment. In this scam, the main red flag is the broker promising to cover losses up to 90%. As we know, crypto is incredibly volatile. It's unlikely that anyone would promise to cover losses, given the nature of the game is that crypto is very volatile. So someone promising to cover up to 90% is very suspicious. Let's look at another one. So in this one, we're going to talk about what is called an imposter business and/or government scam. And essentially, this is when a scammer will pretend to be a business or a government official. Unfortunately, this type of scam is very, very common, whether it involves cryptocurrency or not. In fact, imposter business and government scams are usually in our top 10 scam types every year, meaning that they are one of the calls we get most frequently. When it comes to cryptocurrency being used in these types of scams, they operate in the same exact way as other imposter government or business scams, but the difference is that instead of asking for gift cards or a wire transfer, the scammers will ask for cryptocurrency. So let's look at an example from the helpline. In this one, the caller received a call and then text from someone claiming to be a U.S. Marshal. The scammer said that the DEA had the caller's personal details appear in an investigation. Our caller was told to withdraw $28,000 from her account and put the money into a Bitcoin ATM in order to keep herself and her finances safe. She did so and wiped out her savings and never heard from any of these quote-unquote officials ever again. Now, in this case, the big red flag is related to who is asking for money. Government officials will not ask for payment in cryptocurrency. Now that we've covered some of the scams related to cryptocurrency that we receive often, I'm sure you're wondering, if I've experienced a crypto scam or if someone I love has experienced a crypto scam, can they get their money back? So let's look at some new legislation and protections that might answer these questions. But please note, this is a rapidly changing area, and so there may be more laws and protections by the time you're watching this video. As we know, cryptocurrency is evolving very quickly. As I mentioned in the previous video, in 2009, there was only one cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. 16 years later, there are over 10,000 legitimate cryptocurrencies, and that number is growing. Unfortunately, there are not protections for all kinds of cryptocurrency scams, but there are new protections when a cryptocurrency scam leverages a crypto ATM. If you don't know what that is, go back and watch the first video in this series that talks a little bit more about how cryptocurrency works. Now, in terms of protections, some protections are more preventative and some of them are around potential refunds. When it comes to preventative policies, at the time of this recording, at least 13 states and a few cities have adopted safety measures. They're all a little different, but they generally set daily transaction limits for new users, provide clear signage, and they also provide warnings about scams involving cryptocurrency, as well as information on customer service. Now, when it comes to reimbursement, all of these laws at the time of this recording are state specific. We're going to look at 5 different state policies. But again, as a reminder, this is all changing and evolving rapidly, so I would encourage you to look for your specific state's policies on this subject. So when it comes to reimbursement, by which I mean someone experiences a scam, they deposit money into a crypto ATM, and then they realize it's a scam, new policies are popping up on a state-by-state basis. In Colorado, there are 3 situations where you may be able to get a refund from a cryptocurrency kiosk. The first being if this is your very first time using a crypto kiosk. The second is if the transaction went to a virtual currency wallet or exchange located outside of the United States. And the third situation pertains to fraud. If within 60 days after the virtual transaction, you realize that fraud may have occurred and contact the owner or operator of that crypto ATM or kiosk and a government or law enforcement entity regarding the fraudulent nature of the transaction submits proof of the fraud, like a police report, then you may also be entitled to a refund. In Arizona, kiosk and ATM operators will be required to issue full refunds, including fees, to new customers who report they have been victims of fraud within 30 days of the transaction. In Arkansas, the window is a little tighter, but they also offer refunds for new customers who have experienced fraudulent activity with a crypto ATM, which they refer to as a virtual currency kiosk. Furthermore, in Iowa, a new law requires refunds for fraudulent transactions using a crypto ATM, generally within 90 days of the transaction. And in Minnesota, similar to Arkansas, a refund for new customers when a transaction is fraudulent is available in the first 72 hours of the new customer period. Again, these are not the only states with these laws, and hopefully many more will adopt similar legislation. And that's a wrap for today. Now you know a little bit more about what to look out for when it comes to red flags pointing to a potential cryptocurrency scam, as well as some of the places to go if you or someone you know or love has experienced a scam involving cryptocurrency. If you think you've experienced a scam involving cryptocurrency or you want some more information about fraud and financial literacy, go ahead and give us a phone call. Our phone number here at ElderWatch is 800-222-4444, select option 2. My name is Jessica Zawadski. Thank you so much for joining us. In our next videos, we're going to talk about peer-to-peer payment methods as well as some of the scams that are associated with them. See you next time.